So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Who back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, October 19th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, October 19th here today. Coming off of another big night last night in the sports world. We had some excellent postseason baseball on. Red Sox. Astros. I wish the Yankees were in it, but Red Sox, Astros was the game, and man, oh man, I mean, Boston really got off to a quick start, and they really just dominated from the start, and they dominated from start to finish, and there's no other real way to put it, as they take a 2-1 lead, as they get ready for tonight's game. It was dominated from start to finish. 12-3 win, so, it was really just a dominant performance. You had the grand slam by Schwarber, then you had another home run. All over the place. Astros look real bad, and Astros got to win tonight. You lose tonight, yes, you go back home, but if you lose tonight, well, you're in a very bad situation, because if you lose tonight, you're in a situation where you now have to you have to win tomorrow, or the next game rather, which you have to win the next game. There's no other way to put it. It's as simple as that. So that was an excellent one. That was it wasn't really close, but it was. If you like offense, if you like home runs, that Red Sox Astros game was your game to watch. We also had the Monday Night Football on. We had the Bills Titans, close game there. Titans just sneak out a victory. Late penalties for the Bills hurt them. And the Isaiah McKenzie punt return. That should have the Isaiah McKenzie return that should have been a touchdown. It wasn't because of a bad holding call on Andre Smith. Not meaning the refs made a bad call. It was the right call, but it was a bad call. Or not a bad call. It was a bad hold. That can't happen. He wasn't even close to the play. It had no impact with the play. It was an awful hold. You just cannot do that, and that's undisciplined football, and that's what's going to lose you football games. I say this all the time as a fan, right? Turnovers will lose you games. They will. They will, but, you can have times where you can overcome turnovers. You can have times where you do. And you can point to some games where maybe your quarterback throws 2-3 interceptions and you still win. Look at the Buccaneers all those years. They weren't winning much, but they did go, 7-9 a year. Winston threw 30 interceptions. They were turning the ball over, but they were still finding ways to win. And, turning the ball over doesn't help you at all. But penalties will be almost your kryptonite if you want to win football. If you want to win games in any sport, if you want to win games, penalties is going to hurt you. Obviously outside of baseball, because there are no penalties in baseball, but baseball, the equivalent is to errors. Errors in the infield is going to hurt you. I guess errors is like the equivalent to almost turnovers, but errors is going to hurt you in a baseball game. If you make 3 errors in a game, more than likely you're going to lose. Hockey, same thing. Penalty is going to hurt you. Basketball is a little different because there's a lot of fouls that are going to be called, but fouls will hurt you, especially if it's late in the game and you just keep fouling, or, if it's a bad foul late in the game or something like that, that could hurt you. Also, basketball, overshooting could hurt you, bad defense, many things. Football, though, penalties. If you take bad penalties, especially late in the game, it's going to hurt you. And last night, it hurt the Buffalo Bills. And the Titans come away with not just a victory, but that was a huge victory, and that was much needed. Because the Titans were going down this path where it was unknown. We went into the season, all these expectations. If they would have lost yesterday, that's 3-3 on the year. And you were going down this path we don't really know what to expect. And they came up with a big statement win yesterday against the Buffalo Bills. So big win for the Titans. Rangers also got an overtime victory as well. We'll get to that. Really just an unbelievable overtime. I don't know if you saw it, but the back and forth that was going on was just unbelievable. It really was crazy. You had the first minute, there was no shots in overtime. The first minute of the 3-on-3, there was no shots. There was pretty much no shots. And then the second about, from the 4-minute mark all the way to about the 1:30 mark, there was shots and shots and shots and great chances. And, we're not just talking about chances, we're talking about grade A chances to score goals. I mean, Austin Matthews had an open net. Shesterkin blocked it, then he had an open net, and, two Rangers were there. I believe it was Trouba and someone else. Then Panarin put one into the back of the net to win the game, and that was just an unreal game. And those are the victories that the Rangers are going to need. That wasn't pretty again. Rangers taking a lot of penalties. We need to avoid those, but we are getting wins, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. I was talking to someone yesterday about it. No matter how you get it, it's a win. No matter if it's if you win 7-0 or if you win 1-0. It's going to go down as a win. That's all that matters. So Rangers got to win. It was good. Still some things to work on, but we are 4 games into the season. But it was one of those passionate wins where team had to come together, grind that thing out, and get the job done. Rangers did just that last night. Lots to get to today on the podcast. Lots and lots and lots to get to. We got some basketball. We got some baseball to get to. I'm not going to do a full recap about the Monday night game. I kind of just touched a little bit upon it. I want to get to the NBA Power Rankings. I want to get to the Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees news of him getting a 3-year contract extension. So there's a lot to get to today on the podcast. With that being said, let's get to the topics for today's podcast. We got the NBA Power Rankings. I will start you off with that. Yes, you have heard that right. I felt like it was just a day ago where I was sitting on this podcast and different studio, but I was sitting here talking about the Brooklyn Nets and their loss to the Milwaukee Bucks and what they could have done in the offseason to improve a little bit, what they could have done, some of the things that maybe maybe some of the things that they could work on and all that different stuff. I felt like it was just yesterday I was talking about that, and sure enough, we are now talking about another season ahead of us. And yes, again, the expectation for the Brooklyn Nets is to win a championship. That should be the expectation. That's what the Brooklyn Nets need to do this year. You don't win it this year, well, question marks could start to really loom over this team in the offseason. If you win it, you do your thing, go back out there and do it again. I don't want to get too out of myself. It's game one of an 82-game season plus playoffs and all that stuff. But you got to take game by game. And right now, this is another big season for the Nets. So we'll get to that. We'll get to the power rankings. We'll also get to the Knicks as well. Spoiler alert, I don't think this is surprising by anyone. The Knicks are not in my top 10 teams, so I will touch base on them. I will talk a little bit about them, just not when I'm talking about the top 10 teams. So we'll get to that. Second topic is Aaron Boone got extended by the New York Yankees. So this is, although it's not really surprising, it's very big news, as Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees have agreed on a 3-year contract extension. So all the rumors, all the possibilities, Yankee fans wanting him back, some not wanting him, some hating his guts, some saying he should be fired, some keeping him, all of that. Aaron Boone is returning. This isn't surprising to me. It's not surprising at all. I have no problem with it. I will tell you why I have no problem with Aaron Boone coming back. I know a lot of Yankee fans are upset that he's coming back, but I'm going to give you a couple reasons why I don't think this is that bad. I am a little surprised on it is a 3-year deal. I am. I was hoping for more so bring him back for 1 year and see what he can do. If he wins it, he comes back. If he doesn't, he's gone no matter what. They are giving him a 3-year deal. So Yankees obviously know something that we don't. They obviously clearly believe on him. 3-year deal plus an option. So a lot on the table here for Aaron Boone as he returns as the New York Yankees manager. We'll get to that. Then we'll get to the New York Sports Update, finish it off. I could go on and on about this Aaron Boone thing, but I will tell you this, is I've said this all along this offseason. I really wanted Cashman gone. Cashman's not gone. That's frustrating to me. But I never really said that I don't recall saying it. I was never on board of completely firing Boone. I was somewhere in the middle. If we fired him, I would be surprised, but it wouldn't be something like I was super angry about. And if we kept him, I wasn't going to be surprised, and it wasn't be something where I'm super excited about either. Like, we kept Boone, it's no surprise. I have no issue with it. Am I so excited? Do I think he's the best manager in the world? No, but is he worse? Is he the worst manager in the world? No. I mean, I I'm not really excited. I'm not crazy happy, but I'm not mad either. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I have no issue with them bringing him back at all. I really don't. We'll get to that and all that. We'll get to the New York sports update as well. You know the drill. Another big podcast ahead of us. With all that being said, this is BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so I'm going to unveil my 2021 NBA Power Rankings. You know I do it every year with all the sports. I know I didn't do it this year with the NHL. Last week the NHL started. Didn't do a pod last week. Was very busy. Just couldn't fit time to do a pod. So I apologize about that. Maybe one of these days I'll do a power rankings. Maybe for hockey. Maybe I'll do maybe instead of a beginning season power rankings, maybe I'll do a power ranking on hockey at the mid-season point. Maybe at the All-Star break or something like that, or to make up for that. But whatever it is. Either way, we got the NBA Power Rankings left. You know the drill. I'm going to give you my top 10. I don't give you my top 32 or my top 30, whatever. I'm not going to give you that. Every league's different. I'm not going to give you I'm not going to give you the entire league just because it's just not necessary. I'm not going to give you my top 30 teams. Apologize if I said top 32. I was thinking NFL. Not going to give you my top 30 NFL and NBA teams. That's just too long, unnecessary. I give you the top 10. So you know the drill. Give you the top 10. I start at 10, go to number 1, and you'll see where I put any of the teams, and you'll see if your favorite team's in here. I will tell you this. Spoiler alert, the Knicks are not in my top 10. Okay, so would they be in my top 15? Yes, if I did stretch this list to top 15, I would definitely, without a doubt, they are in my list. Possibly top 15. Top 20, definitely. Top 17, definitely. Maybe could they be on the outside looking in on the top 15? Yeah. But more than likely, Knicks are probably top 15. I would go ahead and say they probably are. Either way, though. With that being said, because I do like to take my time on this, I do like to talk about each team. We're at 11 minutes already. With that being said, before I go on and on and on about, because I could honestly talk days about the top. I could tell you, I could sit here and talk about all 30 teams. I'm just not going to because it's a lot and I have no room for any other topics. With that being said, though, let's get to the top 10. 2021 NBA Power Rankings. Here we go. Alrighty, starting up at number 10. Kind of a surprising team here, given that I believe they were not in my Power Rankings last year. And they've been, not the same team really for the past couple seasons due to some injuries and guys leaving. But number 10, I got the Golden State Warriors coming in at number 10 on my list. Okay, we all know this is a big year for the Golden State Warriors, right? Last season was kind of an interesting one. Year before that, also a very weird one for the Golden State Warriors, right? The Golden State Warriors went from being that team, that big name team, that team that was winning all these titles, defeating the Cavs and all that. And it's almost like the Warriors and the Cavs have kind of taken separate roads since that, right? The Cavs rebuilding, not the same team. But you could also say Warriors not been the same team. Have they been awful? No, but they haven't been the same team. Now, I understand 2 years ago, Curry got injured, had the wrist injury, they never were able to get to the bubble. Their year ended short due to COVID. Last year, COVID season, Curry played really well, was an MVP candidate, had a career year, I believe. He was up there, and I know many stat categories was his highest in his career. They made the play-in game, all that good stuff. So they were competitive last season. But this year is big for the Golden State Warriors because ever since KD's left, they've not been the same team. We can all agree on that. And Kyrie, in all fairness to them, Klay Thompson, he had the ACL injury, right? And then he had, I believe it was the ACL or whatever. He was out for that season. Then last year, before the year, tore his Achilles. They've had a lot of injuries. And it's kind of been Curry on his own. And now this year, you get the opportunity to see Curry, Draymond, Klay Thompson, all back on their own, all back together, kind of like it all started. And that's why I believe, yes, they're older, and yes, they might not be exactly the same players they once were. Well, Curry, I think, might only be better. But we'll see how Klay returns from the torn Achilles. We saw it with KD, he returned really well. We'll see what Klay does. That's always a question. Draymond's a little older. Draymond's never been that great of a player, but he fits what they're doing there. He does his job. So now we get to see what this kind of, in a way, those core three players get to do back together again. And I think there's a lot of optimism. Now, do I think the Warriors are a team that is going to be able to defeat big-name teams and be able to really go out there and win all these games and all that? No. But do I think they're going to be solid in the West? Yes. Do I think they're probably going to make a playoff? Yes, I don't think they'll be in the play, and I think they'll be better than that. Could I see them coming as a 7 seed? Yes. I don't have them higher in my bracket just because they weren't the team they once were, but are they going to be the team they've been the past 2 years? No. I think they'll be better. I don't think they're finals bound, but I do think they'll be better. Coming in number 10, Golden State Warriors. Number 9, I got the Denver Nuggets, all right? They got the reigning MVP in Nikola Jokic on their team, right? You got Jamal Murray. You got a lot of guys on that roster that can do some damage, all right? We all know Jamal Murray is going to be out for the first part of the season with an injury. I believe it was torn ACL, so he'll be out a little bit for the first part of the season. That's really what's limiting me to really putting them above and beyond, right? We know what this Nuggets team has, right? They have the reigning MVP, Jokic. They got a lot of good talent on this roster. We know what they have. The one issue with this Nuggets team here in the past couple seasons has been getting to that next level. They've gotten to that level where they've made the playoffs and they've been competitive. But they have not gone to that next level where they're in the NBA Finals. And, Jokic is, in the NBA Finals, national television making these big plays, right? That's not what the Nuggets have been. And the Nuggets are getting there. I just don't know if they're there yet. I think this is just one of these teams where it has all the talent. It just might not be really good enough to get to that next level. And once Jamal Murray, though, gets healthy and you have Jokic, if he can do what he did last year, Michael Porter Jr., a lot of good guys in that roster, this team is very, very talented. They haven't been able to get over the hump just yet, getting to an NBA Finals and really being a true threat in the playoffs. But if you really look at it, the past couple years injuries have hurt them. If they can stay healthy, this team can be dangerous, especially in the Western Conference. Number 9, Denver Nuggets. Number 8, I got the Atlanta Hawks. I have the Hawks coming in front of the Nuggets just because of the health. I just think in general, the healthier team right now is the Atlanta Hawks. Right now they are. Nuggets, I think you could see them maybe get off to a little bit of a slower start because of Jamal Murray being out. And, some new guys in that roster could just be a little slower. Hawks, I could see. Hawks are one of these teams you got to watch out this year. I could see this Hawks team coming right out of the gate, firing on all cylinders, and just being a real surprising team. And I know that might sound crazy given that they're still very young. And to be honest, in a way, it's like you don't get how they've all of a sudden just sprouted out into this really good team. But the Hawks, I could see being a team that just comes out of the gate, firing on all cylinders, and just turns into this true, real threat. And this year for the Hawks, is it the expectation to win a championship? No. I think this year for the Hawks, what the Hawks got to prove to the NBA is that they're legit. That they're a legit team that can make an impact, that can make a difference in this league, that can be a true threat moving forward. Because what we've seen the past couple seasons is a rebuilding team with a lot of youth. What we saw last year was a team that got to the playoffs, beat the Knicks, shocked the world and beat the Sixers, and then move on and almost beat the Bucks. They lost to the Bucks. So we all know how that went for the Hawks, right? It was a really good playoff run for them. They've got to reset. This is a big year for the Hawks to show that, hey, that wasn't just a one-year thing. This team has got a lot of talent and a lot of young talent. And in terms of future, Hawks got probably the brightest future in the NBA. With all the young talent they got, it's already showing, it's already producing. A lot to be excited about if you're a Hawks fan. Number 8, Atlanta Hawks. All right, I might lose a lot of people here. But number 7, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, I understand that a lot of people will disagree with me. I get that. I mean, a lot of people will. I get why people disagree with me. Here's my thing with the Lakers. It's not that I don't like the Lakers. I have no issue with them. I really don't. I mean, it's not that because I'm a Net fan and the Lakers and Nets are in a way like a small rivalry now. It's not that. Nothing to do with that. I truly don't think this Lakers team is as good as people make it to be. I really don't. Now, was the Westbrook signing a good deal? Yeah, they got another star talent. They got another guy that could rack up a lot of points and get you assists and rebounds and be physical. But it was the other signings with the Lakers where I actually thought they got worse. And I actually think they got older. And they actually got to the point where it was like, they got Westbrook and AD and LeBron, but outside of them, it's a lot of old veteran talent that really isn't the same as once they once were. Like Carmelo Anthony, Malik Monk. Really? Those are the guys you're going to trust to give you solid bench depth? Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. LeBron James needs a day here and there. Russell Westbrook, we all know how he is. Needs the ball a lot. Has the ball a lot. Shoots a lot. Likes to have the ball. Loves it. Not a great team player. Wherever he goes, it seems not to work. A lot of question marks with this Lakers team. I just don't believe that the hype that they're getting is really deserved. Because it's a lot. It's LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. Okay, Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. LeBron showed true signs last season of aging. Russell Westbrook can stay healthy, but was even the best guard on a team on the Washington Wizards last year, behind Bradley Beal. But he is physical. He does get rebounds. He does get assists. He will score. But how can he fit with two other guys that need the ball as well? We'll see. Question mark with the Nets as well. They showed that they could do it last year. We'll see what they could do with the Lakers. I'm just not a fan of all the old veteran presence on this roster. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I'm just not. I just don't really know if all these old guys that they went out and signed is really going to do them good. It could be one of those things where it could be a rough ride and your bench could be awful. This is a very boomer bust team. It's a team that might have a really good year, and all these veteran guys, now that they're on a winning team, might get re-energized and have a new passion for the game and go out there and dominate. Or it could be where by the 30th game of the season, it's like you don't know what it's like. You're watching, it's like you're watching Uncle Drew, where they're going out and getting all the guys, all the old players. It could be that. Riskiness with this Lakers team. That's why I have them at number 7, Los Angeles Lakers. Opposite of a veteran team is the Dallas Mavericks coming in at number 6. Really, really like the Dallas Mavericks and Atlanta Hawks this season. Really think those two teams can make a big difference. Hawks being the Eastern Conference and the Mavericks in the Western Conference. Because, in all seriousness, what we saw last year out of this Mavericks team is a team that maybe just needed one more offseason to really get things right, and now they're a true threat. We all know what Luka Doncic can do. You got a rebounder in Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr. You have talent on the roster. This is a team that's very, very, very talented. Very talented basketball team. You pretty much have, I'm not even kidding, Luka Doncic's an MVP candidate. So you look at MVP candidates, you look at good players and guys that have a real good shot at winning MVP, Luka checks all those boxes. And these are two teams, Mavericks and the Hawks, are very similar situations. Have been rebuilding recently, have really not been really have been rebuilding. Now they finally gotten it right. You built around Luka, he's been dominant. You built around Trae Young, he's been great as well. Same thing here with the Mavericks. A young team, a team that's not as young as I would say the Hawks, but they are a young team. You got Luka and some other young guys on that roster. You also filled in with some veteran presence. A really, really exciting team to watch. We saw it last year, and I know the Clippers slowed them down. I don't think the Clippers are going to be the same team without Kawhi. I don't think they'll be bad, but I don't know if they'll be really the same team. Dallas Mavericks are going to be a true threat in the Western Conference if Luka and that roster could do what they did last year and even better, and they can go above and beyond. Number 6, Dallas Mavericks. Alrighty, number 5, I got the Miami Heat. Right? Here's my big thing with the Miami Heat. Last year, put them high in my rankings, didn't have a great season. Was kind of coming off a really high in the bubble. Weren't expected to get to the NBA Finals. They got there, did all that. Last year was kind of a little bit of a down year for them. Had an awful playoff series against the Bucks. Got swept 4-0. Hindsight 2020. I guess it wasn't as embarrassing because the Bucks did go on and win. But at the time, it was embarrassing. It was extremely embarrassing. They came out flat in that series. They came out awful. They looked terrible. Bucks weren't... The Bucks... It's not that the Bucks looked that good. It's that the Heat looked that bad. And they got swept. They did awful. So they got to bounce back. This is a big season for the Heat. They went out and made some moves. They got Kyle Lowry, brung back Oladipo, right? They made some moves. So you got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Oladipo, Kyle Lowry. It's kind of it's a little bit of what the Lakers did, but those guys aren't as old. Lowry still got some stuff left in the tank. Oladipo still got a lot. Butler's still going strong. Bam Adebayo, we all know, relatively young's got a bright future ahead of him. So it's not exactly what the Lakers are going for. But the Heat did go out and take a big risk this offseason, bringing in all these other guys. Because it does go to show you that, hey, this is a big year for us. We need to show we need to prove not just to ourselves, but to the NBA that whole bubble team wasn't a bust. You have Tyler Hero, another young guy. Needs to have a bounce back year. Tyler Hero last season did not have a good year. Really, really struggled. Was really good in his rookie season. Last year, declined a lot in production. His shooting percentage, a lot. He declined a lot. What's so good about this Heat team is if you look around this team, they just are a well-rounded team. Lowry, Oladipo, Butler, Bam Adebayo. There's your core. Then you got guys like Olynyk. You got guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Some of the guys, Duncan Robinson can light it up. Hero can play make and do some of that stuff. We need to see that better out of Hero, though. Hero was not good last season. He needs to be better this year. Sophomore slump maybe a little bit. Team started to catch on a little bit. Wasn't able to catch fire. Because frankly, Heat were not the same team last season we saw the year before that. And especially we saw in the bubble. So this is a big opportunity for the Heat to bounce back and prove that whole bubble team where they made the finals wasn't a fluke. And they went out and got some extra pieces. Big year for the Heat. Coming at number 5, I got the Miami Heat. Alrighty, number 4, I got the Utah Jazz. Okay, I mean, look at this Jazz roster too. I think the only thing that's just making me have the Jazz in front of the Heat is the fact that the Jazz had a better run last season, and just overall, or just I think, based off of last year and stuff, I don't know if it's really fair to put the Heat in front of the Jazz yet. But the Jazz are coming in at number 4, right? Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert. Guys all over the court that can make a difference. And one of the things that, and in sports, we always talk about the starters and the star on the team and the really good player and all that stuff. We always talk about it. We always talk about all the really good players. And we don't always pay attention to the guys that maybe aren't getting as much attention. And that's one thing. I do this myself, and we all do it as sports fans, right? When a bench player is doing really well, you don't talk about it much. If a team's bench is doing really bad, you notice it, you talk about it. If they're doing really well, it's not really to talk about. You're talking about the starters and all the big names. This Jazz team, I get it they have Gobert. I get it they have Mitchell. I get it that. I get you can make the argument they have the best defender in the game and they have a top 3 player in the game. I understand. You can make the argument. Mitchell's probably top 7. Gobert, definitely you can make the argument he is the best center, and you can make the argument he's the best defender. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to give you my opinion. I would really have to look at that. But no doubt about it, you could say you got 2 guys that are top 5 at their position. So that's great. They've been great. But what's really been good for this Jazz team, especially in the playoffs, late in the season, late in games, is this bench. Bojan Bogdanovic and Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson, obviously, last season won 6th Man of the Year. You don't know how crucial it is for teams to have faith and to have trust in their bench. If you have a good bench, that means you don't have to go out there and throw your stars out there 35, 48, 42 minutes a night. You don't have to do that. You could trust your bench. You believe in your bench. You could throw your bench out there, especially in playoffs. Because in the playoffs, if you're playing 45 minutes a night, oh man, you're going to be drained by the second round. You're just going to be toasted by the second round. Now, sure, if it's big games, and maybe you're hurt a little bit like the Nets did last season, you need your star player to go out there and play 48 minutes plus overtime, that's a different story. But when you have a bench that you believe in, that's huge. And the Jazz have that. And that's been crucial for them. So, coming at number 4, I got the Utah Jazz. We saw it this year, right? Nets bench last season was a little bit of a liability. It was a little bit of an issue, especially when they had some injuries. Bench started to really dwindle. They went out, got a lot of good bench assets. Javon Carter, drafted Cam Thomas. You look at You look at Blake Griffin already there. Bruce Brown, another option that could come off the bench or not. Joe Harris, another option. You get a lot of good guys. Those are options, right? Bruce Brown, Joe Harris could very have been the starting lineup. Nick Claxton, LaMarcus Aldridge. So many guys that could be in and out of the starting lineup that give you bench depth. Patty Mills. A lot of that. Nets went out and built their bench. Paul Millsap. Nets went out and did that. And the Jazz already have that going. When you have a good starting lineup and a good bench, it could be the difference. If you have a good starting lineup and you don't have a good bench, that could be the difference of winning a title and not winning a title. And the Jazz have that. Number 4, Utah Jazz. Alrighty, number 3, I got the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to tell you right now, okay, the Phoenix Suns, I do not believe are a one-year wonder. I don't believe they're one of those teams that was really good last season and not the same. They won't be the same. I don't think that. What I believe what the Suns got building is what the Mavericks have building and what the Hawks got building as well. A young team that took time to grow. Now they've hit their mark, and now they're going to be caught in stride, and they're going to continue to be a good team for years to come. That's that. Many years of suffering with the Suns. You now get a good roster. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. I know they couldn't have come to a contract agreement. That's besides the point. He'll be on their roster this season. Look at this team. Look at this roster. A good amount of youth. A lot of solid players. Just overall, a good team. And I really believe there's that thing with this Suns team and what that Mavericks team and that Hawks team. Kind of that old saying in sports. Short-term pain equals a long-term gain. That's kind of the whole storyline of all these teams. Same thing with the Suns here. Short-term pain was they had a couple really bad seasons. You can make the argument the Sixers were bad too then, but they were one of the laughing stocks of the league. And now, Devin Booker, face of the franchise, got him, DeAndre Ayton, got a veteran, Chris Paul. This team is perfect. So, really, even as I am a Net fan, and they're in the Western Conference, so I don't really have to worry about them too much unless we face in the finals. But I'm excited to see what this Suns team can do. I am. It's going to be an exciting season for the Suns, and there's fans. Coming at number 3, Phoenix Suns. By the way, I do think Devin Booker, I still will say this. I know after their finals run last year and all that, he probably gained some hype. I still will say this. I think Devin Booker is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. I do. He just doesn't get that much recognition. He just doesn't. I mean, on a night-out, night basis, he can have moments like some of the better players in the league. He can. He's not far from it either. And he's just really just a solid player. And he's overall just he's just a loyal guy to the organization. Simple as that. Number 3, Phoenix Suns. Alrighty, my 2 and 1 probably pretty obvious to you. Number 2, I got the Brooklyn Nets, which leaving number 1 is the Milwaukee Bucks. So my number 2, the Brooklyn Nets. I usually say, I know I didn't do it with the NFL this year, but I usually say whoever wins the finals usually kicks off my number 1 on the power rankings. But number 2, I got the Nets, right? And as a Net fan, I don't think this is a bias at all. I don't really think this is. I think this is accurate. The Nets are coming at number 2. I think the expectation this year for the Nets is, as it was kind of last year, but even more so this season, is to win a championship. And, when you form super teams, if the first year doesn't go well, you got the second season. If the second season doesn't go well, that third season could be a big question mark of what happens. And I get that Kevin Durant signed an extension and Harden and them two seem to really stay put there. But this is a big year for the Nets. And it's a big season for them to, go out and win games and be the team that we all expect them to be. And as long as they can stay healthy, and as long as the Brooklyn Nets can, have moments like they had last season where they look really good, that, they're going to win a championship. That's as simple as that. Biggest thing with the Nets this year, my biggest concern with the Nets this year is the injuries. It's the injuries. If we can stay healthy, we are more than capable of winning it all. It's when we get hit with injuries, and it's when crucial guys get out of the lineup, that's when everything takes a sharp left-hand turn. And that's when things start to sink. And we saw that last year at the playoffs. And I know the whole Kyrie drama and he's not with the team. I get that. But it's Harden and Kevin Durant. And I think as a Net fan, I think nothing against Kyrie. Because when Kyrie was here, boy, he has moments. He still is here. But we don't know when Kyrie will play. We'll see what all happens with his, vaccination status. We don't know when he will play. But for the time being, it's going to be Harden and Kevin Durant. And everyone's saying, oh, they're not going to be the same team. Well, last season, KD and Harden there for a little bit, while Kyrie was out because of personal reasons, were playing really well. And I understand that's last year and it's a completely different team. But that's also why I think the Nets also went out and I think the Nets all along knew that this was going to happen. I think the Nets purposely went out and built the bench depth because I think they knew Kyrie was going to be out. And I think they realized that it was just going to be KD and Harden. You got to build around him even more. So the expectation to win a championship. Coming at number 2, Brooklyn Nets. They'll play the Bucks tonight, so I guess we'll kind of find out tonight for the time being who I guess is the best team in the league. Although I guess if you win your first game, I guess you got to be considered for the best team. Either way, Nets number 2 and number 1 Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, you look. This team's going to be a true threat again. I mean, I'm not kidding. This team's going to be a true threat. And another thing I want to say about the Nets, I know it's the first game, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I always say this, and then if the season flies by and we're already talking about playoffs, but I would like to say this about the Nets and the Bucks too. It's kind of the same thing. You don't know how crucial it is to clinch home court advantage. Because I truly believe last year home court advantage was a big deal. Right? Nets, Bucks, Nets really struggled on the road. And I understand they had home court advantage yet last year, and they did get Game 7 was at Brooklyn, but healthy Nets team at home, not easy to beat. Healthy Bucks team on the road, not easy to beat. So, I think you got to stress again, home court advantage is huge for this season. And that's going to be something you got to battle for throughout the year. And these are in a way, I know it's only the first game, but these are some big games because, at the end of the day, if you end with a, really close record, it's going to come, it's going to come down to, it's going to come down to it's going to come down to really, who has that home court advantage. And if you have home court advantage, if you have that home crowd behind you, that's huge. So, Nets, Bucks, rounding out my top 10. Nets number 2, Bucks number 1. Hoping at the end of the season, the goal is Nets to be hoisting up that trophy, the finals trophy, at the end of the season. Alrighty, and as for the Knicks, alright, I'll touch a little bit upon them. The Knicks, the expectation is, again, similar to kind of like the Hawks. Prove to the league that this is not a one-year wonder type team. Prove to the league that, Thibodeau's got to prove that he is the guy there. Prove that this team's legit. Go out there and even have a better season. Julius Randle, now that you've really put your name out there, be even better this year, maybe be considered for an award or something. Because really, what you got to expect out of the Knicks team is on what you saw last year. And, a team that's going to be gritty, a team that's not going to be great on offense, but they're going to play good defense, and they're going to believe in their coach. And ultimately, I think if you're a Knicks fan, you got to feel optimistic about going to the playoffs. You do. Is the finals the expectation? No. I think the expectation if you're the Knicks are go to the playoffs again, but also, don't fall off on the defensive end of the ball. Don't turn into this team that's so reliant on that's not the Knicks. Play your game. Do what you did last season and really be considered a true threat. Because going into last year, they were projected to do nothing. Going into this year, now they've really made a name for themselves. Now it's not the same old Knicks. We'll see how they do. But the Knicks, another team to watch out for, because they could be one of those sneaky teams that you might see go up the rankings a little bit and maybe make a little bit of a stand I kind of forgot what I said. A stand and a statement this season. So we'll see. Nets and Knicks. Nets start off tonight against the Bucks in Milwaukee, and the Knicks will open up tomorrow night, I believe at MSG against Boston. I believe it's a home game. So we'll see how all that plays out. Alrighty, so that's what I got for my 2021 NBA Power Rankings. Coming up next here, the New York Yankees, through all the drama, through all the rumors, through all the this and that, Yankee fans split on the decision. Aaron Boone is coming back as the manager of the New York Yankees. Yankees will extend him to a new 3-year contract to return as manager. We'll get to what this means for the Yankees and much more coming up next. Alright, so welcome me back here. Alright, so Yankees news. Aaron Boone signs new 3-year contract to return as manager. Yes, you have heard that right. The New York Yankees have brung back Aaron Boone as another year of Aaron Boone at the helm for the New York Yankees. And, through all the rumors, through all the this and that, through all of the, fan base, half the fan base saying, let's keep him, half the fan base saying, kind of like me, where it's kind of like a 50-50, half the fan base just hating his guts and not wanting to have him come back. With all of that being said, Aaron Boone is back as the New York Yankees head coach. And let's be honest here. I mean, I can tell you this. I think we all expected this. I don't think any of us expected Boone to be gone. My thought process was it would just be the right thing to do is if the Yankees did not make the playoffs this year, I think you had to kind of fire him. I think that would have to be the choice. Not making the playoffs for a team that was supposed to win a World Series is a huge underachievement. And we did make the playoffs, and we lost in the wild card game. That's also still hugely underachieving. But I think we all expected Boone to come back. This is no surprise. So to all the Yankee fans saying they're surprised and saying that, I'm surprised we brought. That's just I mean that's your opinion, but I don't think any of us expected Boone to get fired, nor did any of us expect Cashman to get fired. Now, I want Cashman to be fired. I wanted him. He's not, but I did want Cashman to be fired. My stance on Boone has kind of been the same throughout the year. I haven't been crazy on the fire Aaron Boone nor have I been bring Aaron Boone back, bring Aaron Boone back, bring Aaron Boone back. I could see both sides of it. I could see the side of why fans want him gone. It's a results-driven business. We've been kind of expected to go to the World Series the past couple seasons. We haven't even gotten there. So I understand that. And I also understand the side of it that I'm more standing on, that, not all this is his fault. He's not the one constructing the team. Cashman's really making the lineup. Yes, we understand that his bullpen decisions aren't great. Maybe some of his in-game stuff's not great. But all these strikeouts and stuff, that's not on Aaron Boone. That's the lineup that Cashman constructed. We all knew going into the year, it's a boom or bust lineup. A lot of strikeouts, but you're going to get some power. You're going to get home runs. You're going to get guys. They're going to have a lot of RBIs. And we also don't have a team that can hit very well with runners in scoring position. Boone can't teach you that. That's one thing that's a little different from having a baseball manager getting fired and a football manager getting fired. A football manager can control a little bit more of how his players play on the field. He can. He could also control if he lost the locker room or not. As a football manager, really got to get his guys ready and got to get them going with the right plays and make sure they're prepared. Baseball, it's a little different. It's like there's no real plays in baseball that there's no specific play you got to run in baseball. You go up there and you try to hit. Boone can't make you hit. Boone's not the one making them strike out. So even though the Yankees really struggled this season and were not the team we expected, it was more so on the way Cashman constructed this team than Aaron Boone. Boone got handed this team. That's that. That's it. Take the whole results and all that away from the equation. Boone was the one who got handed this team. Boone did not make this team. Brian Cashman did. And we've got to make moves this offseason. I talked about it the other day that moves have to be made this offseason. In terms of I did say that I thought we needed to make some coach staff moves. I did kind of say that we need to make moves with the roster. Center field, shortstop, catcher especially. I know it's not a huge catcher market this year, but anybody that's better than Gary Sanchez, please. I don't want to hear going into spring training next season when pitchers and catchers report that Gary Sanchez was working out in the offseason. His leg kick's not there anymore. He's going to have a great year. And Gary Sanchez, for, again, another year, bats .205 with 20 home runs and 50,000 strikeouts. And I don't want to have that again. So I'm on the train of I don't really disagree with the Yankees bringing back Aaron Boone. I really don't. And if you're a Yankee fan today that's super angry, well, let me ask you this. There is reason to be angry. I could see where you want change. It hasn't really when he came here, the expectation to win a World Series, we haven't even gotten to one. So I get the frustration. I get that. But results aside, and the play on the field has not been good with the Yankees. This season it wasn't. I mean, this year as a fan was one of the hardest years ever. It was such a disappointing season. Last season, you had the 60 games. It was weird. Yankees did not do great. You had some, injuries, all that. This year, 162's back. It's a normal season. Cole, kind of just thinking of players. Cole gets a full year. You get an opportunity to see Judge and Stan healthy, and the team just wasn't right. This Yankees team this season can never find consistency. We had moments where we were really good and had moments where we were really bad. And those paths came a lot. It was an up and down year, up and down, up and down. And you thought you had that stretch where you won about 13, you won 13 games in a row. And then guess what? After that 13-game stretch, you went down a little bit. Then you went up. Then you went down. And then kind of finished out the year. You got that win against the Rays. You were on a high. I know you went into Boston and laid an egg. So that's kind of how it's been. That's not all Boone's fault, though. Cashman was the one who constructed a lineup. And we knew going into the year, it's a boom or bust lineup. Yankees need to make changes to this lineup. There's no doubt about it. What I did think was interesting is this. This is what I really think. Yankees need to make changes to this lineup. Remove the coaching and GM aside. Changes need to be made to this lineup. There's no doubt about that. You can't sit here and tell me that there shouldn't be changes made. Upgrade at shortstop would be nice. A catcher upgrade, I think, has to be mandatory. If you don't upgrade a catcher, Brian Cashman should not have a job at the start of the season. If Gary Sanchez is the Yankees opening day catcher next year, Brian Cashman should be fired immediately. Catcher needs to be upgraded. What are we going on? Our fourth year now of hoping that Gary Sanchez is the answer and he's not? I don't think Boone's the big problem. It's a lot of this lineup and it's Cashman. So I have no issue with the Yankees bringing Boone back. What I thought was interesting, though, is this. They're bringing him back on a 3-year contract, which I thought is really interesting. Because my whole thought process was, if you're going to bring Boone back, my thought process was, bring him back on a 1-year deal, and if you win the World Series, you can bring him back, and if they don't, he's fired, he's gone, get rid of him. Yankees obviously chose the other route. They're giving him a long deal. 3-year deal with an option in it. So, a little different there. That I will say I'm a little iffy with. Because you're kind of like now it's like you're invested him in for another 3 years. Now, sure, if the Yankees win 50 games this season, I think he's got to be gone. But that's like the absolute worst. Personally, I do think this. I think if the Yankees make the necessary changes that need to be made, I think this team has the potential to do it. The Yankees already... Okay, let's go through the players, right? Your pitching staff definitely should... you got to hope that Cole's better this year. You just have to. Cole wasn't the pitcher that we really wanted to be. He had moments, but Cole kind of followed what the Yankees did. Cole had moments this year where he was really good, and he had moments this year where he was really, really bad. You saw it towards the end of the season. You saw it especially in the wild card game. So he's got to come back next year stronger and more consistent. But your pitching staffs, it's okay. Every year I keep saying it, Yankees can always improve on the pitching. Because the pitching department for the Yankees hasn't been the same for a really long time. That's always an improvement. But if you look at the infield, we'll see what happens to Rizzo. LeMahieu's still a staple. Gio's a staple. Question marks surround your first baseman and your shortstop. Do the Yankees take the route of LeMahieu at first, Torres at second, bring in a new shortstop, whether that's a Correa, whether that's a Seager, someone like that, Story, and then Gio at third? Or do you do LeMahieu, or do you do Rizzo at first, LeMahieu at second, trade Torres for whoever you pick up, and Gio at third? So, LeMahieu and Gio Urshela right now are the only two guys in that infield that are secured. Because Rizzo's a free agent. So we'll see what happens with him. Gallo's under contract for another year. Your outfield's pretty secure as well. Your outfield's iffy. It's Gallo, which he'll be back, and then Judge. Your center field is question mark. You can bring back Gardner. Sure, bring back Gardner. Just don't have him play 130 games. That can't happen. I don't believe he played that this year, but you get what I'm saying. If you're going to bring back Gardner, bring him back seriously as a second option, just as another guy. We'll see what happens with Gardner. I do not want to see Hicks back. Center fielder's a necessary need. Bullpen's interesting. I thought we had some good Yankees this season at the bullpen. Had some guys that were really solid. Clay Holmes came in, did his job. Wandy Peralta, Jonathan Wise got a really good year. Chapman, too, kind of did what the Yankees did. Had moments where he was really good and had moments where, boy, he was really bad. So we'll see what happens there. You go to the catcher. Catcher, I think, is a big need. Before you do shortstop and center field, you need a new catcher. And we cannot sit here. We cannot sit through another season of Gary Sanchez swinging at high fastballs and striking out. That can't happen. So those are kind of what it is. And we also made some coaching decisions already. We got rid of Nevin, got rid of one of the assistants, and got rid of Marcus Thames. So that was a couple days ago, but that's also. So Yankees are already starting to make some moves, and one of their moves was bringing back Aaron Boone. I truly believe that if you get him a better roster, if you go out and get some more contact hitters, guys are going to hit with runners on, I truly believe Aaron Boone can have the success that we expected him to have when we hired him. I do believe that. I think definitely some of his in-game stuff might be a little questionable, but I also think that's how the Yankees run their thing. The Yankees are Matt Blake's he's an analytical guru. I think a lot of those bullpen decisions are Matt Blake, talking into Boone's ear, saying this and that, and Boone's the one that walks out there on the mound. He's the one that the fans see making the pitching change, and they automatically blame him. So I think there's a lot behind the scenes and a lot with this roster the Yankees could fix, and I truly do believe if the Yankees do that, Boone can have success with the team. But it starts with improving this roster, and that's the start. So we'll see how the Yankees do that. But, yet again, we go into an off-season where improvements need to be made, and does Brian Cashman pull the trigger? We'll see. Alrighty. So Yankees news, Aaron Boone signs new 3-year contract to return as manager. Aaron Boone will return as manager of the New York Yankees on a 3-year contract. The team announced Tuesday. Jack Curry of the Yes Network first reported the news. This is what Hal Steinbrenner said about Aaron Boone. We have a person and manager in Aaron Boone. Let me tap on the full thing here. So this is what he said. We have a person and manager in Aaron Boone who possesses the baseball acumen of widespread respect in our clubhouse to continue to guide us forward, said Yankees managing general partner Hal Steinbrenner. As a team, as an organization, we must grow, evolve, and improve. We need to get better, period. I know Aaron fully embraces our expectations of success, and I look forward to drawing on his intelligence, instincts, and leadership in pursuit of our next World Series championship. So, yeah. So that's what Hal Steinbrenner said. Kind of the usual. I mean, he's not going to sit up there and talk bad about Boone. He's also not going to sit up there and act like he's the greatest thing in the world. He's going to give him praise, and that. There's no surprise about that. The Yankees went 92-70 in the 2021 and claimed one of the American League's 2 wildcard berths, but the rival Boston Red Sox eliminated them in the AL wildcard game. Still, their surge in the second half of the season may have saved the manager's job. Boone's previous contract expired after the 2021 MLB season, and the absence of an extension seemed to indicate he was on shaky ground from first pitch on opening day. At least he had to convince ownership he was worth bringing back for 2022 and potentially beyond. At the All-Star break, the 48-year-old had the look of a lame duck manager. The Bronx Bombers were 46-33 and in danger of missing the playoffs. General manager Brian Cashman indicated in June that Boone wasn't going anywhere, but may not have used the most complimentary metaphor. We made this bed and we are going to sleep in it, he said. We are in this together. That's what he said. Didn't really understand that much. Yankees chairman Hal Steinbrenner was more empathetic in July. He kind of, just his thing about the coaches. He proceeded to point the finger at the Yankees players for the team's underwhelming start. So this is what Steinbrenner said. They're the ones on the field. They're a group of very talented professional athletes that are playing this game at the highest level in the world. They need to fix this problem. They need to fix the problem because everyone, including our fan base, and rightfully so, has had enough, quite frankly. It's enough, and they know that, and you're seeing them say that. The manager is tasked with getting the most out of his roster, so he can't avoid blame when players aren't delivering. But the arrivals of Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo ahead of the MLB trade deadline were evidence of a lineup that wasn't getting it done. Gleyber Torres slugged below 400 for the second straight season. Gio Urshela saw his OPS fall from 8.858 in 2020 to .720. Deej LeMahieu also returned to his New York days with 10 home runs and 679 plate appearances. Joey Gallo batted 160 in 58 games with the team. The Yankees' two best hitters, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, missed 37 combined games as well. You know, that's not a great stat because 37 combined games, they were both healthy this year, and they both were out there. So, 37 combined games between the two of them is actually not bad at all. They were both healthy this season. And if Boone was on the hot seat for how the Yanks played in the first half, then he deserves some share of credit for how they fared in the second half. Alrighty, let's see here. So he hasn't been faultless in his 4 years in the New York dugout. The absence of an American League pennant is glaring given the team's talent and regular season success. Perhaps not. Coincidentally, bullpen management was one of his Achilles heels, and that's an area where an adept manager can gain an edge that makes the difference in a playoff series. Like I said, his bullpen management is an issue. I also think that it's all the analytics and all that stuff too, which is just ridiculous. But Boone's .601 winning percentage is better than that of Joe Girardi .562, and only marginally worse than Joe Torre's .605. 4 straight postseason appearances and an achievement to give him the competitiveness of the AL East. I don't think it's fair to compare Boone to Torre, nor is it fair to compare Boone to Girardi. Boone has been here for this will be his 4th year now, 5th year now, whatever. Compared to Girardi and Torre, who were with the Yankees for much longer, so they've played much more games. They've coached much more games, so I don't really think that's a fair stat. But in his time here, he has won, just not the championship, not in the playoffs, not all that. But if you give him a better roster, I do think he can lead you the way. He can lead you. The Yankees may come to regret bringing Boone back if they get off to another slow start in 2022. But it's difficult to disagree with a choice right now. I mean, they get off to a slow start. I mean, you could always turn things around. I mean, if you have another, frustrating season like this year, well, then I think that would be a concern. But I mean, if you first 10 games of the season, if you're off to a slow start, it doesn't mean your season's over. You still got a lot of baseball left to play. But I think the big thing coming up is this year. It's a big year. If you have another season, then I think you could truly understand what's going on with this team. But we'll see. Really, really, roster needs to be changed. The roster really needs to be improved. That's the biggest thing. Alrighty, so let's get to the update here for fantasy and all that good stuff, fantasy football and all that. We'll also get to some fantasy basketball. As for the NBA, I'll get to the NBA and MLB. As for the MLB, we got Dodgers Braves tonight. I can't see the Dodgers going down 3-0. Give me the Dodgers at home. Buehler on the mound. Just like that matchup. Give me the Dodgers. And Red Sox Astros. I don't see the Red Sox slowing down. I really don't. Give me the Red Sox. Alright, as for the NHL, like I mentioned earlier, the Rangers got the win last night 2-1. So they moved to 2-1-1 on the season. And as for today, we got the Capitals Avalanche. I'll give Avalanche the win. Sabres Canucks. Give me the Sabres. Sabres are rolling right now. Devils Kraken. I'll give Devils the win. Lightning Panthers. I'll give Lightning the win. Canadian Sharks. I'll give Canadians the win. Penguins Stars. Give Penguins the win. Red Wings Blue Jackets. Give Red Wings the win. Islanders Blackhawks. Give Islanders the win. Wild Jets. Give Wild the win. Predators Kings. Give Predators the win. And Oilers Ducks. I'll give Oilers the win. As I mentioned earlier, Titans defeated the Bills yesterday 34-31. And as for the NBA, tonight we got the Nets Bucks, and then later on, the later game, 10 Eastern, is the Lakers Warriors. So Nets Bucks tonight. Bucks come into this game. Nets come into this game. No record. Bucks as well. No record. First game of the season. Bucks come into this game 1.5 point favorites. The over/under is set at 233.5. This game goes on today, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT. A doubleheader. Both games on tonight. 60% of people think the Nets will win this game. Give me the Nets. Why not? Give me the Nets and start their season strong. Let's hope for a win. And as for the next game, we got the Lakers Warriors. Give me the Warriors. Give me the Warriors. Yeah, actually, Lakers. Maybe I got ahead of myself. Lakers, they're 3-point favorites. The over-under for that game is set at 226. 10 Eastern on TNT as well. A doubleheader there. 64% of people think the Warriors will actually win this game. Wow. 64. You know what? Give me the Warriors. Actually, Lakers. That's tough. Yeah, Lakers. Although many think they will win, yeah. Give me the Lakers there. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Now, do I think very well that they might not have as good as the year people expect? Yes, but for tonight, give me the Lakers. Alrighty, as for fantasy football, I got a lot of stuff to shuffle through here. So Chubb's going to be out again, which means I need to go out and get another running back because right now I'm in a situation where I don't have much going for me. So my fantasy lineup right now, I got to make some adjustments to it. But I did lose in my PPR league. My PPR league looks more better than this league. But my PPR league right now, I won, so I moved to 2-4 on the season. I won 137 to 116, and my non-PPR league, I did lose 90 to 88. So I moved to 2-4 in my PPR league and 3-3 in my non-PPR league. And I got some stuff to go through there. Injury update. Let's see here. Coach Kevin Stefanski has ruled out Chubb calf for Thursday's contest against the Broncos. Jake Trotter of ESPN.com reports. So he's out there. Update on Gibson. Coach Ron Rivera said Monday that Gibson calf underwent an MRI. Nikki Jahava of the Washington Post reports, so we'll see how that goes. Dawson Knox, also questionable. Not great news with him. Knox suffered a broken bone in his hand during Monday's 34-31 loss to Titans. Mike Garofalo of NFL Network reports. I got a lot of bye weeks as well, so that's that. And for my other league, no injuries to report there. Oh, I do have claims in for both leagues. So my one league, I got a claim in. Adding Saints defense and dropping Cowboys defense, and that's that. In my other league, I'm dropping Cowboys defense, adding Saints defense as well. So that's in both leagues. Yes, so that's in both leagues. I like the Saints defense as we going against Seattle, so that's what I'm doing there. And as for fantasy basketball, injury update, I'll give you the injury. So, update on Nikola Jokic. His ankle, he was out for the final preseason finale, but he should be ready to go. Miles Bridges' knee is listed as probable for Wednesday's regular season opener against the Pacers, so that's that. And then Rashawn Holmes. Holmes' illness will be available for Wednesday's season opener against Portland Kings reporter James Ham reports. So that's that. Tonight, I got Joe Harris going. So, I got Joe Harris going tonight. That's my only player. That's it. So Joe Harris going tonight. My opponent actually has Kuminga going tonight, but I got Harris. So we'll see how all that goes. And that'll do it for the podcast here tonight. Another packed night ahead of us of sports. Nets, Bucks, and postseason baseball, some hockey, a lot of good stuff. So hopefully you enjoy it all. As always, hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.